What do you get when you bring writers together for some fun and games?
Writer's Virtual Table.
Hi, this is GP Gottlieb, and today I'm hosting as a guest host the Writer's Virtual Table designed by author Casey Bell. We're going to start out with introductions. So I write culinary mysteries. That's all I have to say for now. And I'm going to then go to Michelle Cox, who wrote the wonderful Henrietta and Inspector Howard series, which I have adored. She's also the author of a weekly Chicago blog with all kinds of interesting insider information. What else about you do we need to know, Michelle?
Like you said, I write the Henrietta and Inspector Howard series. There are 5 books out. They are all out on audio. I am a big board game fanatic. So I have probably like 200 games that I don't have time to play. And what else? I love big band music. I love anything about the 30s and 40s, anything about Chicago. And that's me.
Cool. Vicki-Ann Bush has a really cool artist gallery on her website and has written a young adult series. But I want to just give a quote from one of her books that I just love. High school is difficult enough, but when you're dead, it comes with an entirely different set of problems.
That's good.
What else, Vicki-Ann?
Let's see. I'm currently doing the Alex McKenna series, which that quote comes from the Academy of Souls. I just finished the 4th book, and it will be the last for the series. So I'm kind of wrapping it up. My heart is breaking because, you know, when you dedicate so many years to something and then it's going, you know, it's done, it's like, yay. And then you realize it's over. I'm a shoe fanatic. So you like board games, I like shoes. My husband cringes every time I look at an ad, so we'll just skate over that. I enjoy movies, family, kind of simple things, you know, just hanging out, having dinner, you know, conversation, and just enjoying each other's company.
Well, must have been an easy year for you too. So, and Louise Bannon, my friend from the Left Coast Crime Festival, has written a couple of really cool series, which I love. My favorite is the Old Los Angeles series, starring a female doctor in the 1800s in Los Angeles, but also loved Freddie and Kathy, that series. And then she does this cool series called Operation Quickline. But my favorite thing to tell about Anne Louise Bannon is that she not only makes her own clothes and bakes her own bread and gives classes in all sorts of things, but she also makes her own soap, and she and her husband make wine. I feel like it goes on and on. I don't think she ever sleeps. What do you say, Anne?
No, I don't, but for other reasons, not because I don't go to bed. Anyway, no, my husband's been making wine for 20 odd years. That's one of the reasons why Maddie Wilcox in the Old Los Angeles series is a winemaker. We basically make the things most sane people buy. He's gotten into the bread baking since I had to go low carb last year. Kind of hard to make bread when you're not eating it yourself. And somebody else gave him a starter too, which really didn't help. But yeah, that, and you know, critters around the house, and just I've made wine too, not a lot, but I've done it, and it's just, that's the sort of thing we do. Oh, and I collect pens.
Oh,
all sorts of little cheapies. I've got dozens.
cool. So Casey Bell is the author of 22 books of all different kinds, but he's also a playwright, a graphic and fashion designer. Ooh, how do we look? A fine artist. He teaches seminars and classes, and I met Casey Bell because he he hosts this amazingly wonderful idea to help authors meet each other, called the Writer to Writer Interviews, which is a really interesting idea. And as I said before, he is the genius behind this whole idea, Writers Virtual Table. Did I miss anything about you, Casey Bell?
Not really, other than the fact that I am a proud uncle of 11. Other than that, basically an artist of all genres, writer, graphic artist. I do theater and film. I just produced last year I produced a Zoom film about a boy who realizes that both his parents go through midlife crises. They had their son very young, and he realizes, according to what they're going through, that it's best to wait for relationships and things of that nature instead of doing it too early. And it was a part of the Manhattan Repertory Film Festival this year. Other than that, that's basically it.
You're also one of those people who don't sleep. So let's get to the second section.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this message. And we are back.
So now each of you has an opportunity to ask somebody else a question, and each of you have the opportunity to answer the question. So let's start with Vicki-Ann asking Casey a question.
Okay, Casey. So since you're such a detailed person when you're watching other things or writing them in your head, when you read other books, do you tend to rewrite the story in the book that you're reading so that you pick up on all these little things that you may think are maybe misplaced or could have done differently?
Yes and no. Sometimes if I think the book is too long, because sometimes I feel like they add, I know in the world of writing, they have the whole thing, especially on Twitter, oh, I just wrote 10,000 words today. I just wrote 20,000 words today. And I feel like they care more about the words than the actual story. So there's times I'm reading a book and I can tell there's just too much excess details that have nothing to do with the actual story. And so I'm writing like, I would leave this out. Or if I find, sometimes I'll rewrite a story because I feel like it's more mysterious or it's more shocking or it's more surprising, or it's how do I say, it's something no one would ever think to do or think that's going on. So yeah, sometimes I will rewrite a story where I believe it would be more interesting, if that makes sense.
Cool. Michelle, will you ask Anne a question, please?
Sure. Okay, and if you could write in a different genre, what genre would it be?
Oh, well, having already written a fantasy and a time travel novel, in yet another possibly romance. I've got a couple of romances that I play with. In fact, the Operation Quicklime series is almost more about the romance and the relationships than it is about the spies. I can't think of anything I wouldn't write in, except possibly a Western, because that's a very different genre, even though the old Los Angeles series is set in the Old West, and it is LA was a frontier town in 1870. It's not really a Western. It doesn't have that whole cowboy thing going on. So
Okay.
I think that would be the only genre I wouldn't try.
Interesting.
That makes sense.
Okay. Cool.
Tasty. Will you please ask Michelle a question?
Sure.
How about why did your internet go out? No, just kidding.
No. When did you say you came to the conclusion that you needed to publish a book?
That's a good question. Because when I did write a book before I started the Henrietta and Inspector Howard series. It was kind of, my practice book that I didn't realize was a practice book. And I wrote it because I just wanted to see if I could actually sit in a chair long enough to write a book. It really was about that. It wasn't about publishing or anything like that. But then when I finished it and I handed it out to, family and friends, they're like, oh, why don't you try to publish it? And I thought, geez, I don't know anything about publishing. I don't know if I can do that. But then I decided, I'd spent a year writing this thing. Why not try? So then that sort of launched me into that whole other scary world. It's easier to write than publish, as we all know.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Anne, would you please ask Vicki-Ann a question?
Vicki-Ann, you talk about being a sensitive and paranormal to spirits and the like. When did you decide you wanted to write a series about that as opposed to just, because that seems like that's a really close part of your life and something very deep inside you. When did you decide you wanted to write about that? And especially for young adults.
I actually started off in children's books. The first paranormal I wrote I was with my publisher at the time, and they asked me if I ever thought about writing YA. And so I wrote the Dust Chronicles. The Alex McKenna series is not born from my experiences with paranormal. It's because of the transgender component. My grandson is transgender, and I wanted something, or create something that he could relate to. I had asked my daughter, actually, at first, when I first had the idea, and to see if there was anything out there, because we're going back a few years, to see if there was anything out there that was not a inspirational self-help or anything like that, where it was just a character who happens to be transgender, but that's not the focus. So if you read the Alex McKenna series, you're gonna know that he's transgender from the beginning, but you're not going to see much of it. And it's not anything that has to do with his emotional journey, really, because I can't write that. No. I don't know how he's going to really feel. I can go for the mechanics of it, like when he's putting a binder on or something, but I only devote short little sprinkles of that in the book. The book is focused on his paranormal abilities and his family, which I took from my own, and magnified it 1,000 million times.
1,000 million, that's a high number.
Well, because I can't sit here and move things with my mind. I wish I could, but that's not happening.
Oh, I can think of a few things.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this message.
American History, a children's book series that shares the diverse, eclectic, and colorful history of America. Go to authorcaseybell.com for more information. A Child Lost, a spiritualist, an insane asylum, a lost little girl. When Clive, anxious to distract a depressed Henrietta, begs Sergeant Frank Davis for a case, he is assigned to investigating a seemingly boring affair. a spiritualist woman operating in an abandoned schoolhouse on the edge of town who is suspected of robbing people of their valuables. What begins as an open and shut case becomes more complicated, however, when Henrietta, much to Clive's dismay, begins to believe the spiritualist's strange ramblings. A Child Lost is the 5th book in the Henrietta and Inspector Howard series by author Michelle Cox. For more information, go to michellecoxauthor.com.
It's time to play Judge a Book by its cover. Inspired and designed by author Casey Bell. So here's the story. Casey's going to put a picture that he's never seen up on the screen, and everybody's going to have 30 seconds only, to come up with the title of that book, the main character, the plot, and a genre. Again, 30 seconds to come up with those 4 things off the top of your head. Here we go, and the first person to answer is Anne Louise Bannon.
Oh, you had
Did you
to.
give us 30 seconds?
Call on Me. The main character or plot?
Title.
Call on Me.
Main character.
Is a jumpy 21-year-old.
Plot.
Plot is, scared to death and getting weird phone calls from the beyond. Thank you, Vicki-Ann Bush. Casey Ann Warren knows she has to help out to solve a murder.
Excellent. Genre is?
Well, mystery.
There you go. Phew, thank you, Anne Louise Bannon. And you're up next, Casey Bell.
Okay,
Title.
the title is To Complain or Not to Complain.
Main character.
Bannon Bush Cox.
Okay, plot.
So every time Bannon complains, this magical phone rings, and when he picks up the phone, it takes him to a different era, centuries ago, where his today complaint is so let's say he complains about it's snowing and he has to shovel. The phone takes him back to like 1400 BC, where there really is no shovels, and he has to really deal with the snow in a different way than he did today. And the purpose of it is to show him to not complain, to be grateful for what he has, because there was also always a time where things were worse than they are now.
So the genre is?
Fantasy, I guess.
And time travel too.
Yeah, time travel.
Okay, thank you. Michelle, you're up. Title.
Okay, title is Saturn Calling.
Ooh, main
Yeah.
character.
Jimmy Saturn.
Plot.
Okay, Jimmy continues to get calls from an alien who needs his help.
And genre.
YA.
Ooh. And last but not least, Vicki-Ann.
Title, A Connection in Time. Main character, Tiberius McFadden. He's a 15-year-old boy who's visiting London with his family, and they walk by a phone booth and it rings and he picks it up. And it connects him to someone in the 1940s. And what was the other thing?
Love it.
Plot and genre.
Plot and genre. Okay, so it connects him to someone in the 1940s who's trying to prevent a death in 2021. And the genre would be YA paranormal. Time travel.
Cool.
Wow. Okay, that's a wrap.
And we are back.
All right, next game. Who's that character? Casey Bell is going to put up another picture. And this time, the title, the plot, and the genre. And this is the name of the character. What's the title of the book, the plot of the book, and the genre? Casey, you're first.
The title of the book is Blue Men. It's children's books, and Blue Men it's a series of children's books that talk about blue men who are a type of living beings in another planet. They're blue faces, yellow legs and red arms. And the series basically talk about, things children go through, but it helps them with peer pressure. And Alexis Y. Longstock is the main character. She goes through peer pressure, or what do you do when you hear a gunshot? Different type of things to help children.
Stuff children go through all the time. So then, Vicki-Ann.
Title first?
Title first.
Okay, Alexis Y. Longstock. Title, Behind the Veil.
Plot.
She's a 15-year-old witch who, when she turns 16, she's going to get her family's treasured veil, and the veil will give her heightened powers. But someone's trying to collect the veils from all the families, and they're murdering all the girls who are about to get their veils.
And the genre is?
YA paranormal.
I was going to guess that. Michelle? Title.
Okay, the title is Don't Wander Too Far. And it is it's a mystery. And it's about Alex Longstock is a PA, or a private detective, who is searching for a lost child who wandered away 20 years ago, but who has now reappeared, even though his body was discovered at the time of the crime.
So the genre is?
Mystery.
Okay. And Anne?
Longstock walks on. Alexis is we've got a PI, so I can't do that. She's a young cop on her first beat, really gotten thrown into the deep end, and in an urban on an urban police force, and has to deal with the fact that on her first day on the job, she shoots somebody and kills him, and is trying to recover her sanity and decide whether or not she wants to still be a cop, having dealt with this horrible thing right up front. And I guess you can call it a police procedural.
There you go.
Nice.
And I'm going to say nothing.
Oh, come on.
I got nothing.
In the 6th Operation Quicklime story, operatives Lisa Wycherly and Sid Hackburn are sent undercover at a small arts college in Wisconsin. The job is to find out who is stealing a top-secret chemical formula being developed by someone on the faculty. The catch is that no one knows who the developer is, let alone who is stealing the formula, or even how. The Hallowed Halls by Louise Bannon. For more information, go to AnnaLouiseBannon.com.
And now for the final section, each of us is going to have an opportunity to promote. So promote your latest book or the project you're working on now, 30 to 45 seconds. and let us know what we need to know. Michelle, will you go first, please?
Sure. Okay, so my latest book is A Child Lost. So it is book 5 of the Henrietta and Inspector Howard series. So this one has 3 different plot lines running together. It involves a missing immigrant woman that Clive and Henrietta are searching for, and a little lost girl who, because she has epilepsy, accidentally is admitted to an insane asylum, which was a real place in Chicago at the time. So that's book 5, and hope you check it out.
Hope everybody does. Anne, would you go next, please?
Okay, we were talking about the Operation Quicklime series. Here's the latest of them, these Hallowed Halls. A deadly amateur, a top secret formula, and full mating plumage. This is the 6th Operation Quicklime story. Operatives Lisa Wycherley and Sid Hackburn are sent undercover to a small arts college in Wisconsin. The job is to find out who's stealing a top secret formula being developed by someone on the faculty. Lisa's the teacher. Sid is her student. And their relationship, when we left it in Sad Lisa, the 5th book, is at an impasse. Faculty politics are rank enough, not to mention the food in the faculty dining room. There's also trying to figure out which, if any, of her colleagues has been working with the KGB, then managing 3 wet behind the ears fellow colleagues. The one thing Lisa can't do is let on just how much in love she is with her gorgeous basic composition student.
Ooh.
Yes, this
Sounds
just
good.
finished up as a serial on my blog, and so it's available in book form.
Sounds spicy.
Yay. Yes.
Vicki-Ann, would you like to go next, please?
Sure. My latest is Alex McKenna and the Academy of Souls, which is book 2 in the Alex McKenna series. And in this story, Alex and his girlfriend Margaret travel to the Academy of Souls to help a little girl who is stolen by a soul gatherer. Her sister's been searching for her since the day that they died. And little 7-year-old Haven comes through. She searches for Alex and finds him. So he travels to go to help her. And it takes them to an in-between world, and just to uncover the mystery of everything and how it happened, and to rescue her. And then coming out December 14th, 21 this year, is Alex McKenna and A Winter's Night, which is the 3rd book in the series, and that puts Alex in a position where he could lose the one thing in the world that he loves the most, Margaret.
Oh, wow. Sounds good.
It does. Casey, would you like to go next, please?
Sure. So I don't actually have a book with me, but the latest project I worked on is called American History. It's a 9-book series for children.
Wow.
And each book is focused on a group of Americans. So the first book is African American, and then we have Asian, Hispanic, Native Indians, Mid-Easterns, Europeans, Australians, and then North, South, Central Americans. And each book has an equal amount of men and women of inventors and innovators, business leaders, entrepreneurs, and things of that nature. And so that's my latest project that I completed. It was a high task because I used to draw when I was a child and enjoyed it, but I stopped for a long period of time, and now I don't really draw well and don't really enjoy it. But I had to go ahead and I did illustrate each book myself, and the research also was a lot of hard work. So I'm excited about this series.
Sounds really cool.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Yeah.
And my story is I write the Whipped and Sipped Mystery series. The first book, Battered, came out in 2019. And the second book in the series, Smothered, came out in February of this year, 2021. I'm at work on the 3rd and final book of the series. It's a culinary mystery series. I'm not sure of the title yet. I keep changing it. But everything is set in Chicago, actually in the Lakeview neighborhood where I might live. I'm not being specific about that.
By the way, I loved Battered. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. I have a lot of fun with it, and I love murder mysteries. I love the puzzles, but I also love the food. So whoever's not being murdered is eating breakfast, lunch, and dinners. And then the recipes are in the back, and the recipes are mostly vegan and gluten-free, neither of which I am. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yolanda, it was wonderful fun.
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
fun. Thank you.